If you're going to be successful in business, you have to be willing to hire people that are smarter than you.
You can't do it yourself, and you have to have people that you trust.
Everybody is as important as the next person.
You have to take risks.
Every business should be prepared to be sold in 5 years.
Business Newsmakers is brought to you by Tompkins Mayapack Bank, your local, mobile, and remarkable community bank.
Hello and welcome to Hudson Valley News Network's Business Newsmakers show, brought to you by Tompkins Mayapack Bank. I'm Filomena Fanelli of Impact PR and Communications, and I'm here to help you get all up in the business of the wow-worthy leaders and community change makers from right here in the Hudson Valley. Today I'm joined by one of them, Kara Mack, creator of Shoe Candy by Kara Mack. Kara, thanks so much for joining me in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. So Kara, lots of people out there watching today have probably at one point in their lives or another said, I have an idea, I should see if that exists, or I should invent it. Mm-hmm. That happened to you once. Can you tell me?
It did. So yes, I had an idea because I was commuting to the city. I had my commuting shoes. I had a 20-minute walk when I got to Grand Central, and I was greeted at my desk with about a dozen pair underneath my desk. And I'd say, okay, what goes with the outfit that I'm wearing today? And I would change. And if I had an event that night, I had another pair in my bag. So I used to think, why can't a shoe designer come up with a shoe that could go from morning to night, from a day look to an evening look? Why do we need so many shoes? So that was my initial idea.
And so from that, you decided to invent the first fully customizable shoe, correct?
Well, I did a ton of research. So between Googling, checking out patent applications all over the country, even internationally, trying to figure out, does this idea exist? And if it does, can I make it different so that it works for the modern woman? So I did find, I think, a patent from 1937. But it was just an idea, and it was carved wood. And mine was injection molding various materials, and it was a 3-part system. It was completely engineered. And I did hire a patent attorney who did additional research and saw that this had never really been done. So I moved forward.
So your first step was to go out and get that patent?
Yes. And I hired an attorney to do the provisional patent. The provisional patent gives you 1 year to make any changes that you may need. And he filed that in January, I want to say, of 2014. And that provisional patent, which was just for the heel cover change, was granted in November 2017. So it took a really, really long time.
That is a surprisingly long period of time.
Yes.
And as part of that, you got a Kickstarter going, right? Is that how you funded your idea?
No, I actually had 3 shoes already developed and in the market, and we wanted to develop the sandal. And the sandal had a different type of a provisional patent that the straps also came off. So not just the heel cover, but the straps. So we had that funded on a Kickstarter campaign, which is a crowdfunding campaign.
And how much money did you raise through the Kickstarter?
We raised $25,000.
Impressive. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned briefly you have a business partner that you're in this with. Mm-hmm. How did you find your business partner? And you know how the whole, like, if the shoe fits, wear it. How did you know she was that right fit for you?
So my partner is Ann Marin. She's from Newport Beach, California. And people say, well, you live in New York. How did you hook up? We've known each other since the early 90s. We were New York City friends. We had a circle of friends that we did everything with. We lost touch over time. And then she was one of my first customers. And she ordered some shoes. She loved them. She started to gift them to her friends. And then one night I received a phone call, and she said, I'd like to invest. And that turned into a meeting in New York City where the two of us decided that we were going to become co-owners, because she had so many qualities that maybe, not that I didn't have them, but I didn't have as much experience.
What qualities does she have that you feel you don't?
Business. So she has a Ivy League MBA. She's a marketing and branding specialist or expert, and I'm more the creative, operational, sourcing, manufacturing.
Because you spent all your years in the fashion business,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Designing?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. And so you launched this shoe company, and it's all virtual at this point or online?
We started by going to doing house parties first, like a Mary Kay party or a Stella and Dot, which turned into traveling around the country for 2.5 years, mostly to very large women's conferences. This way we could get the product into women's hands. They can discover, style, and then share with their friends. They were trying on the shoes. I'd get back to New York. I would ship them to it. So that's how we really built our first base. We also obviously had a website. And then in December, we opened a brick and mortar in Yorktown Heights.
So this is surprising because we're in a day and age where people are shutting down their bricks and mortar, going to more of a virtual or online model, more clicks than bricks.
Right.
Why did you buck that trend?
Because we don't feel that we're a normal retailer. We offer an experience. So when you walk through our doors, it doesn't start with, oh, I like this shoe, I like this shoe. It starts with, oh my gosh, I could buy one shoe and have 20 different looks. You just solved my problem. When I fly and do a 2 or 3 day business trip, I don't need to check my bags now. I always had to have a different shoe to go with every outfit. Now I have the one shoe, and I bring a little bag of candy, and I match all my outfits, and nobody knows I have the same pair on for 3 days. Or are you going on a cruise? Remember how big those rooms are? Bring some sandals. You could have fun leather day looks and sparkly crystal evening looks to go
It's
out dancing.
brilliant.
Thank you.
Now, women are a huge part of your fan base, obviously, because you sell to women, you have women's shoes, but you also put a lot of time into networking with women.
Yes.
Why is that?
For me, it's because I've worked for somebody else my entire life, and I never really had that entrepreneurial spirit in terms of what needs to be done to get the word out there. I wanted to find women who were smarter than me, who could help me to go into the right direction. And I found that the more I got out there, the more I networked, I became very, very close-knit with I'd like to call them a gaggle of girlfriends, because they're in the same position. And so you feed off of each other, you help each other out. You support each other. You introduce them to new people. They introduce you to new people. I think that the networking part of being an entrepreneur is probably the number one thing that a woman or even a man has to do when you're doing something that no one else has done before.
It can be a bit lonely.
It can be a bit lonely.
Yeah. So that solves that. And speaking of getting out there and telling your story, I know you've gotten out in front of entrepreneur groups. You've even gone on national TV. What shows were you on, and how did that enhance your ability to share that story?
In January, I was on CNBC, a show called Power Pitch, it was a virtual / hypothetical pitch to 3 investors to see if they would invest in your product. I also did a program called HSN American Dreams, which I'm still working with, and that's to get on HSN television network. I did Project Entrepreneur about a year ago and met fabulous people like Poppy Harlow and Sarah Blakely from Spanx, and of course the women from Rent the Runway, because they're the ones that are sponsoring it, along with UBS. And I've done a couple of other programs. I have one in 2 weeks coming up. We were also second place winners in 2017 for the UPS Export Challenge competition. So that gave us money to start exporting our shoes.
And
so
what
there's
was
a lot going
the best
on.
thing you learned from being on those shows? What was the one best piece of advice you were given?
Practice, practice, practice. Practice in front of a camera, your pitch. Believe in yourself. If you believe in your product, it all comes out naturally. So that wasn't something I felt that I had to learn, but it's a little different when you're in front of a camera. You sometimes forget what you really, really want to say. So, have those words in the back of your head and make sure that they come out right.
Yeah, very important. And sometimes you get to meet people who you admire through these kinds of adventures. And I hear you met your favorite person from the Shark Tank.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
All right, so I actually met Daymond John from the Shark Tank and from FUBU even before I launched my company. And I had an incredible opportunity to have a one-on-one meeting with him. I showed him my prototypes. I used my husband's I emptied out his metal barbecue kit and put pink velvet on the top and bottom and displayed my shoes and some of the candy and had a meeting with him, to which he replied, "This can be huge." He compared it to a Build-A-Bear workshop or an American Girl model. So it was not just buying the doll, but then you had to buy all the components for the doll. And the day after I met him, which was May 30th, 2014, I quit my job and started to do it full time.
So hearing from Daymond,
yes,
that this was a good idea.
I needed validation from somebody I didn't know, not a friend or a family member, somebody who was in the space, who had never seen this before, who really got excited about it. And so that for me was validation.
Getting the stamp of approval from Daymond John, who, by the way, for all of you watching out there, Daymond also has a home in the Hudson Valley, so he's near and dear to all of us at HVNN. But getting validation from someone like him must have been a real seal of approval.
And then it was wonderful because he was the keynote speaker at the HSN American Dreams Academy, which I attended in Washington, D.C. I think that was in November. And I got a hold of him through a third party, and he set some time aside to meet with me afterwards. And all I wanted to do was shake his hand and thank him, because he really never knew that he was the person that got me to take that big step.
It's amazing how one person can change the whole course of what you pursue. And maybe you're that one person for someone else. So if someone out there is watching and they have an idea or something they don't see in the market, what would you tell them?
Boy, that's a tough question. I would say number one is do the research. You have to be a Google mania. You have to understand patent law. I don't understand patent law, but you have to learn how to go through the hoops, because so many people will spend time and money and energy putting something into play only to find out that really disappointing reply is it's been done already, and you would be infringing and you can't do it anymore.
That would be crushing.
So do
that
the
homework.
research. Yes.
Okay, so everyone watching out there, do make sure you do your homework. And if you have that great idea, don't just sit on the couch and think about it, because otherwise later you're going to kick yourself when the Kara Macks of the world are out there with your brilliant idea. Yeah. Kara, thank you so much for joining us here today.
So welcome.
I truly
it's been
appreciate
great.
it.
Thank you.
And thank all of you for tuning in each week to hear from these business newsmakers. Be sure to tune in next week to hear from another wow-worthy leader in the Hudson Valley.
Now it's time for this week's Tompkins Tip with Amy Greiner, Vice President of Business Development.
Are you a small business owner who likes to keep your business and personal accounts mixed? It may be time to rethink that strategy. Consider keeping personal and business banking accounts and investments separate to avoid potential crossovers with liability issues. Define and track business and personal expenses and income separately. Consult a business attorney on the best options for establishing the company's parameters per the business-specific situation. Talk with a business banker about the pluses and minuses of establishing a personal guarantee on business financing programs. Consult a tax professional on how to manage shared expenses, such as car and fuel costs, along with home office expenses if appropriate, like rent, heat, and electricity. Thanks for watching, and remember, separation of business and personal keeps you and your business more secure.
Business Newsmakers is brought to you by Tompkins Mayapack Bank, your local, mobile, and remarkable community bank.